Right, Shalom, giving all praise unto Yabashima, Shabashim, Korash. Double honors unto the apostles of great millstone. And our honest brothers that be pushing this truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. The brother, everybody are coming out here to give you this truth for the grace and mercy of Yahweh. Bashim Yahweh Shai, Bashim Korash. Giving all praise unto Yabashima, Shabashim, Korash. Alright, it's going to be a relatively basic video based upon the scripture that we see here. A basic video. But it's needful to remember these scriptures here that we see. The foundational scriptures, lest we fall, lest we slip up and fall. But we understand from the scriptures that the elect ultimately, all right, they're not going to slip up and fall. Okay, righteous man gets up 7 times, so ultimately the elect is going to be all right. But it's important to remember these scriptures too, right? To keep yourself in the mind of hasting for the coming of Yahweh Bashim HaKorash. So without much further ado, let me read this precept here and let's speak about it. All right, let's have a spiritual conversation based around this scripture. Okay, so the book of 1 Thessalonians, the 5th chapter on the 1st verse, it says, "But of the times and of the seasons, brethren, you have no need that I write unto you." So, you know, we push the videos, right? We push the edification, and ultimately it's going to be the elect that was going to be hasting within the day that was going to be, you know, looking for and coming to the coming of Yahweh Bashim HaKorash. It's only going to be the elect that was going to be of that mindset of hasting and, you know, really striving for this truth and striving, right, and hoping that the Yahweh Bashim HaKorash is going to set up this kingdom and ultimately going to set it up soon. Okay, but the rest of the people out here within this world, man, they're locked in into the world, man. Okay, they're locked into the world. They got their little dreams, right, within this world. Okay, they got their little hopes and dreams within this world, their satisfaction within this world, and most of all, they got their consolation within this world. Okay, all they can see is Esau ruling and them getting some kind of a piece out of Esau's rulership, which that's not the mindset that we want to have. That's not the entrapment that we want to get trapped by. Okay, we want to understand that every little piece that we may or may not get within this society is only for a temporary basis, right? You might have a so-called good job, but it might come a time where you have to say, you know, look, boss, you know, I can't be taking that chip. Okay, I'm gonna have to go my way. You know, I wish you all the best, whoop de whoop. And then you go on about your business, whether it be you stay in the woods, you stay in a tent, whatever the situation may be. Okay, you might have a so-called good job, you might have a family, but we understand even Lot, and you better believe Lot's wife, man, that would have been you know, they got the bad bees of this world. The women in the ancient world, man, they was on another level. Okay, that would have been a outrageously good-looking woman. Okay, in comparison to the women that we have out here within this world. You take the so-called baddest of the baddest out here, right, and compare it to Lot's wife, man. Jeez, man, right? Lot's wife was on another level. And remember, this was a woman of a high standing. If you understand the resources that Lot had, you know, to his disposal. Okay, so much so, if I remember the story correctly, Lot and Abraham, they had to split up because of the resources that they had was too much for the land. So Lot went one way, okay, and our forefather Abraham, if I remember the story correctly, he went another way. So that means to say he was a very, very wealthy man. And the scripture talks about how that Abraham was rich in cattle and all of that. So you imagine how his woman was, right? She would have smelled good, she would have looked good, she would have had maids. You're talking about rough hands, man. She would have had soft hands, the softest of them all. But ultimately, right, she looked back. Okay, ultimately she looked back. And the same thing out here right now, you know, you be watching the news and sometimes, you know, you be feeling like nothing's popping off, but usually everything, right now, things are popping off all the time. That's the beautiful thing about the time we're living in right now. It's not really no need for me to be telling you, look, hasten the day. Really, you know, everything's popping off, man. Okay, the world's a theater and some things are done for theatricality and the deceptions, but ultimately things are popping off, man. Okay, things are popping off. Okay, you know, revelations are coming out. There's things to be doing videos on. Okay, there's things to be hasting in the day on. There's prophecies that's being fulfilled on a day-to-day basis. So there's always something to be hoping for. Okay, there's always something to be cleaving onto hope for. So like, that's a better way of phrasing it. Okay, there's always something to be cleaving onto the hope of Yahweh Shema Shai for. Okay, so let's move on to the point that I was making. So even Lot's wife, remember what she did, man. She done look back. Okay, and in the time that we're living in right now, like again, I'm saying, these women, they're all right when things are going good. Okay, these women are all right when you got the so-called good job. Okay, you got the car. You might have a couple of cars. Depends on your situation. You might have a so-called nice place to live. Right? You know, most I could bless your situation like that. Right? But as long as you understand it's temporary. Right? As long as you understand it's temporary. I understand it's temporary, man. I ain't y'all keep me in the right mindset, man. But, man, I don't want to get, I don't want to be in a position where you get a mediocre goodie, because everything that we can obtain out here is mediocre. These elites, the elite banking families, they got estates, bro. You might get a nice apartment, okay? You might get a nice house. Let's say you're really doing well. You might be able to buy a so-called house, spend 7 months doing it up, and it really looks nice. You got the TV and the TV hanging off of the wall, right? Which is gonna be out of date in a couple of years. You got the new material choices and the material colors and all of that, because these women right now, they got a disposal of Esau's color creativity and color palette. You get a really well put together house, man. I done seen it. I've been to people's houses. I was like, God damn, how'd y'all put this together, man? This is very creative. Okay, but at the end of the day, you're still on the terrace house. You can still hit, you can still hear the mice fucking next door. I'm sorry to phrase it like that, but that's the reality of the situation. You can hear the mice next door, right, getting it on, let alone the people that live there. So even if your situation is good, there's always a compromise out here, because really, who has the so-called good situation? It's Esau. That's why the scripture says that what? They're not in trouble as other men are in trouble. We're the ones that are in trouble. Okay, you get a nice place. Now mama's sick. Now, you're going to have to figure it out. You're going to have to figure it out, especially if you live in a country where the healthcare is so-called not free. Now you're going to have to figure it out. Okay? You get the so-called nice car. You might get sick. You're not working anymore. Now you're going to have to figure it out. Okay? I say all of that to say this, right? Everything that we have out here is temporary. Okay? We're under the curses. Anything can happen to our bodies, our minds. Anything can happen, man. We can bug out. Anything can happen. So I understand it's temporary. Okay? Everything that we have out here is temporary. But more so than that, right? We understand the season and the hour is coming where Yahweh Shai is going to return, right? And really, that statement of everything being temporary is going to be even more pertinent. That particular statement, it's going to be more and more right on point. Okay, it's going to be more and more on point, because we understand upon Yahweh Shai's return, pursuant to the book of 2 Peter, the 3rd chapter, right? The element shall melt with a fervent heat. Right, everything and the works that are therein shall be burnt up, and there shall be few men left. To couple a few scriptures together, man. Right, there's gonna be few men left. It's gonna be like a time that's never been seen before within the world, man. It's gonna be like a time that's never been seen before within the world. So, moving on to the next verse, it says, "For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord cometh as the thief in the night," man. So you gotta be on point, doing your videos, studying the scriptures, making sure you're on point. Okay, making sure you're staying circumspect. That's the mindset you're supposed to be in right now. Okay. And you can see how things can move quick, right? They spoke about the C-19 thing. They could use that again to orchestrate things upon the face of the earth, man. Everything can move quick, man. Right? Look how quickly the C-19 thing took over the world the first time around, right? And the whole world was shut down. So everything can move quick. Everything that we have out here is temporary, man. It's all temporary, right? When they shall say peace and safety, right? Then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail cometh upon a woman, right? And they shall not escape. So keep that in mind, right? Keep that in mind as you're going through, okay? You play the PlayStation, you put your feet up, right? You drink a little drink, and you think to yourself, the demon jumps on you and say, "Oh, this is all right." It's like, nah, brother, this ain't all right. And it's about to change, and it's about to change fast, okay? So with that, I'm going to say, all praise unto the apostles of Great Millstone, and I honest you brothers, they be pushing these truth in sincerity. I'll see you on the next one. Shalom.